Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jim R. Today is episode 74, and we're going to be interviewing Chris Z. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to hearing your story. So let's dive in and let's get started with your childhood. How was that growing up?
My childhood was pretty good, as best as one can have. My parents divorced when I was young, so the divorce was pretty hard. I got two other brothers, and so my
How old were you when they divorced?
uh, I don't remember, but a lot of people say I was like 4 or 5.
Okay.
But it's not 100% sure because my parents never talked about it and they never told us why they divorced. It was just always a sore subject in our life. So I really don't know how old I was or the reason why. I just always remembered them being divorced as I was younger. So my whole life growing up, it would always be mom's house or dad's house. Then we had a
It,
bad custody battle. My mom would always take my dad to court, or my dad would always take my mom to court. But they always tried to make sure we had the best life. My mom, she would work 2 jobs back to back, and just to make sure that we had the stuff we need as kids. My dad, he worked a lot too, and throughout the week. But most of the times, me and my brothers, when they divorced, we had to live with my grandma for a while because my dad and my mom weren't stable enough to raise 3 children. They were young, and
what do
all
you
of a
mean
sudden they had
stable?
3 children.
What were they
Uh,
doing that was unstable?
my dad took the divorce really hard on him, and he just wasn't mentally stable enough to have 3 kids and plus go through the divorce. Then my mom, she she didn't have a place of her own to raise 3 kids.
Yeah.
She had to go live with a boyfriend or something. I don't know where she lived or what she did, but we lived with my grandma for about 3 years, I think. Then my grandma had my dad come back in our lives. Then my dad took my mom to court and had her come back in our lives. And I think I was 7, 8, somewhere around there when they started coming back in. I might get my dates mixed up and stuff because it's hard for me to remember a lot from my childhood. But as we grew up, me and my brothers were always close with each other. Then I remember my mom, she got with my stepdad, and it was a big abusive relationship. He would beat her a lot and abuse her a lot and stuff, physically, verbally, and so we were around that most of our childhood. And by the time I got my teenage years, we didn't have a stable path. We joined gangs. 13 years old, I got ranked into my gang. My oldest brother got ranked in first. Then me and my middle brother wanted to be like him. So by 13, we all got ranked into the same gang and stuff.
What
And
gang?
it's called the Eastside Blood 9 Trait. It's from New York City. They so when we were younger, I'm from New Mexico, and my brother, his best friend's from New York, and his cousins left New York and went scouting for members. And my brother and his friend got ranked into the gang first. Then my middle brother and me wanted to join, just to be so we all can be close, have things in common.
What
And
led? What do you think leaned you towards joining the gang? Was there a reason?
it's probably looking for acceptance in life. I didn't have it from my family, from my dad, my mom. She was working all the time, so she wasn't there in our lives completely. Even though she tried her best to, she still wasn't there 100%. And my dad, he would he wouldn't want to do stuff. He would get home and just want to hang out, and he wouldn't really show us the love and affection that we need as a parent. And so we would ask him if he wanted to hang out or if he wanted to do stuff, and he would not tell us no, go find something to do. And so I guess after the years of them not being there as we're growing up and stuff, we looked for love and affection and acceptance for the family, other places. And the gangs give us a fake reality of it at first because they said they'll always be there for us and that we're a family no matter what, you know, and they always get our backs and stuff. And my oldest brother would always talk it up, and I saw how him and his friends hung out and stuff, and it was a big role in our decision making, you know. Then my middle brother, and me were always close. So if one did it, then the other two always wanted to do it, you know. So we always stay by each other and always get each other's back, you know. Then as I grew up, it just started going down the path, you know. Uh, as I got
You have
into
to,
the game, huh?
I was going to ask what kind of things that you have to do to be in the gang.
So when we got initiated, we got beat up into it to show the sign of your toughness. You know, make sure you gotta let like two guys, sometimes three guys, beat you up for a certain amount of time or whatever that gang's initiation is. Then when you're inside of the gang, you gotta show your faithfulness by putting in mission, or they call it putting in work. So it's either robbing someone, selling drugs, selling whatever they want you to do. But if you don't do it, then they beat you up. You know, it's a sign of a discipline, or they call chin check you. They punch you in your chin, something if you don't do it. You know, so just living that lifestyle, it changed me. Especially being a young kid, it changed me a lot. You know, uh, I wouldn't listen to my parents when they were telling me to do stuff. Uh, I started stealing from stores, stealing from people. I started robbing people, selling drugs at a young age. Um, I started smoking weed and smoking cigarettes when I was 13. Started drinking. Uh, then I started getting to cocaine and pills real bad when I was 13, 14. Then after that, we would I would be in school and I would ditch school, or I'd just show to school to like sell drugs and be with my friends and make, you know. But I got pretty good grades for hardly being there and stuff, you know. I passed school. Uh, as I grew closer, I would get in fights a lot. You know, a lot of
Were there
times,
other gang members in school?
yeah, there's a lot. So we would always get in fights, or they would always like most of the time they would do their thing and we would do our thing, and we wouldn't cross each other's path. You know, just out of
You're talking about
respect for
other
the,
gangs?
huh?
What are you talking about? Other gangs?
Yeah,
Okay.
they would do their thing and we would do our thing, and just out of respect for each other, we would stay out of each other's way. We wouldn't go across paths. You know, that's we wouldn't do that at school. A lot of times we'll meet up at parks if we were gonna fight, or like ditches, or you know, other places, or we would meet up after school. You know, if the gangs, if we were gonna fight anybody or do anything. A lot of times when we're at school, we just did our own thing. You know, stayed with our homies and they stayed with theirs. You know, then as time progressed, I got deep into it. You know, my my dad got remarried, and when I was about 14, no, I was probably 15. Yeah, about 15, I think. My dad got remarried and he married my stepmom, and she would try to love on us, be that parent, you know, that she wanted to be. But you know, I wouldn't let her, and I disrespected her a lot. You know, would steal money from her paychecks, and I stole a gun that when her dad died, because I owed it. You know, I owed a gun to one of my friends, so I stole hers. Um, my as I grew up, then my
Going back, why did you owe someone a gun?
so we were getting high, and we were gonna go kill a rattlesnake, and I dropped their gun and I ran it over with a four wheeler and I messed it up. You know, I was riding the four wheeler high, trying. We were gonna go shoot a rattlesnake, and so I ran over the gun with a four wheeler and I messed it up. And the guy said I owed him one, and so
Okay.
I knew where my stepmom kept her pistol, and my dad's back door wouldn't lock at that time. You know, so we went to his house early in the morning and snuck in, went and stole her gun, and gave it to my friend. You know, and as I grew up, I started to realize uh, there was no hope. To me, myself, I didn't think there was any hope because my dad and my mom, they were constantly fighting with each other. Then my dad's side would lie to me about my mom, and my mom's side would lie about my dad. And so I put up a big wall against my family, because it was hard to trust anybody. And so after this, I just stopped trusting my family, and I just went full in flesh with the gangs. Started doing heroin when I was 16. Started shooting it up. Um,
Were other gang members shooting up also? Is that why?
yeah. My oldest brother and my middle brother got on heroin first. Then we got it on different times. My one of my friends gave it to me, and I started smoking it at first. And then my oldest brother told me I was wasting it, and he gave me my first shot. He showed me how to shoot it up and stuff. Then after that, I just liked it.
Let me ask you, were you scared when you first, like for me, I feel like I would be scared shooting up.
I was scared. I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Like I had a bunch of friends OD. My friend James Jones, he OD'd prior to this.
Did he
And
die?
yeah, he died. Yep, he
And
died like
so you saw someone die and you were still willing to try it.
yeah. I didn't see him die. His dad reached out to all of us and let us know that he died and went to his funeral and stuff. But yeah, still was willing to try it because I trusted my older brother. If he said it's okay, then it's my brother. So I trusted his word on it. He was doing it, and so he gave me my first shot, and I remember passing out and getting real high, and just liking it after there. And then started shooting up and doing all kinds of stuff. Started shooting up meth. Started shooting up heroin. I would mix them, and
You would
by the
mix
time,
meth and heroin?
yeah,
It's pretty crazy. You froze up on me. All right, sorry, we had a little technical issue there, and we're back with Christopher, and we were talking about mixing heroin and meth. That's pretty crazy.
yeah.
I mean, did anyone you know show you that, or was that something you did on your own?
Uh, it was a big thing back at home, so they call it like speedballing, and so a lot of people were doing it, especially um in like the gang area or just in my hood or the streets that I grew up in. A lot of people were doing it. It was a big thing. It was pretty popular back home, so everyone was doing it. So it was like a trend, I guess, in the drug addiction world.
Yeah.
And so I tried it and I liked it. I liked it back then. I thought it was give you like a adrenaline rush, and but it's really dangerous. It can kill you pretty quick, especially doing it at 17, 18 years old. And surprised I didn't die. And,
So what kind of things were you doing like after school? You were just hanging out with the gang, and I mean, during school,
so
how was it? You said you guys just ignored each other for the most part.
yeah, so about a lot of times. So I was in high school, and let's see.
You play any sports or anything?
Oh yeah, my bad. I lost my thought. Yeah, so I played football for a long time since I was a kid, and I played all the way to like my sophomore year, and then I quit doing it. My grades were dropping, and I was smoking meth at the same time. So like, it wasn't working out very well.
Yeah.
My heart would feel like it was gonna explode, and I was like, nah, I'm all right. So I quit football, and my grades weren't that good, so they didn't let me play that much. And so I didn't find no use for it, and so I was gonna join the military. I got an ROTC, and I stopped doing a lot of the drugs, but I smoke a lot of spice.
What
So
spice?
K2 synthetic weed. You know, it was a big trend back then, and you can get it from like smoke shops or just anywhere.
Is it that
And
stuff that makes you trip for like a minute or two?
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah, I
so
tried that.
yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah, I remember it just out of nowhere you tripped.
Yeah.
I still remember to this day. I felt like I was back in the Bronx, New York, with my grandparents. I felt like I was back on their block. That's all I remember is I just felt like I was actually there. And then boom, you're back to reality.
Yeah. Yep. And so I did that when I was wanted to join the military because I knew they would test for weed, so I could and all the other stuff. And this is when spice you can test for it. And so then I was doing that, and I was gonna join the army to get a way out. You know, my mom she was gonna sign the paper because I was 17, get a parent permission form.
Yeah.
But me and my friend were driving high, and we passed out at the steering wheel, and we crashed his car. And a cop found the pipe on me, and they gave me a ticket for paraphernalia. And I didn't tell the army recruiter about it because I thought it was something little, you know. And they found out about it, and they gave me a discharge, or they didn't allow me to join. You know, uh, they discharged me from it, or whatever. I can't remember what it's called, you know. But
They
I
took
was,
back the off. Yeah.
yeah. I had everything set up, my boot camp and everything the day I was gonna go. But then all that happened, and they got my background, and they denied me for it. They didn't accept me.
Yeah, that sucks. Military might have cleaned you up.
Yeah.
What did you do once you didn't get into the military?
I got pretty bad back on drugs again, and my dad ended up kicking me and my brothers out. My mom, we got in a fight with my stepdad, and they kicked us out. So me and my brother ended up living with my grandma again. And after that, I started doing better, you know, but I still do drugs on the side. But my middle brother, he started stealing from my family, and but he was in the fire department, and so everybody thought I was doing it, you know. And so my grandma ended up kicking me out because she thought I was stealing from the family, stealing my aunt's pills and stealing all kinds of other stuff, you know.
And
But it was all,
your brother let that happen.
yeah, because we always in the gangs they always have a code, you know. You're not gonna snitch on or tell on one another, especially like that's my brother, you know. And he was in the fire department, so I wanted to make sure he was all right, you know. And so I took the hit, and my grandma, she like backhanded me for it and everything. Because I kept telling her, believe what you want. Like I told her I didn't steal it. I said like she's probably taking more. Like I told my aunt was probably taking more pills, or her kids were taking it. I said, but you know, I told her I didn't take it. I said I don't know what happened to it, and they kept accusing me. So I just told her, believe what you want. And she said, if you say it again, I'm gonna backhand you. I said, all right, believe what you want. And she backhanded me. So then after that, me and my grandma's and my relationship went rock bottom. I stopped respect for her, and she didn't have respect for me. And so she kicked me out. So I had no place to go. Then my mom, she felt bad, and she let me come back in. And my mom and my stepdad were split up at this time, you know. And so I started living with my mom again, just me and her. But she was still working two jobs. So by the time she would come home, she would pass out. And I had like freedom, you know, I could do whatever I want because my mom was at home all day to watch me. And by the time she come home, she would be passed out, and I can sneak out on my window and I can go do whatever I want, you know, as long as I'm back before she wakes up. And she never caught on until like my screen started getting bent and messed up for going in and out so much. And so then she started catching on that I was sneaking out. I got caught stealing bottles from Walmart, alcohol bottles, and
You mean liquor?
yeah, liquor. I would put them in a suitcase and I would run out of the Mercy exit and I would go sell them on the streets to like friends. Like my friends' parents would buy from me. Kids on the streets would buy from me. And I was doing good for a while until I got caught. And the cops made my mom come get me and stuff. And, so that kind of didn't work out very well.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
Then my mom, she told me I better stop or she's gonna have to like kick me out and stuff. Then this one night I snuck out and I went to a party at a friend's house and it got popped by the cops. So then the cops brought me back home. My mom, she was pissed again.
Yeah.
That cops brought me back. Then after a while, just my mom, she always wanted to be there for us and never wanted to give her the cold shoulder, you know, until she found out my middle brother was she found out first about my older brother and my middle brother about the heroin and stuff. And she never believed it at first until my middle brother came out. She didn't know for the longest time I was on it. You know, she just thought I was drinking and just being a teenager, you know?
Yeah.
It's until about my brother and my middle brother and my older brother were homeless on the streets. And I would sneak them in her house when she wasn't home. And at this time, her and my stepdad were back together. And my stepdad told her that I was bringing my brothers in to eat and stuff when she wasn't home. And so she got mad at me and she told me if I wanted to help my brothers and be there for my brothers, then I could be on the streets with them. And so she kicked me out. And because I wasn't following her house rules and obeying her house, you know?
Yeah.
And so I left. I went to be homeless with my brothers when I was 18. We lived in tents. I stole tents from Walmart for us to live in. When I first we were living with this guy named Demetrius in his apartment. There'd be like 10 of us, you know, doing drugs, living in there. And at the time, I thought it was awesome, you know, living free, got with my brothers, you know, we're living life. But like as we look back, we used to steal Little Caesars pizza out of the trash cans when they were closing, you know. So we have food. We would wait until 11 o'clock when they got rid of all their old pizzas and throw it away. We would go and collect it, take it back to our house, throw it in the oven, warm it up, you know. And we're eating it. And this time I was 18. And my older brother, he robbed this drug dealer, gave him the wrong, sold him a fake ring for drugs, you know. And my brother was using my phone, so the guy called him back. And I went and paid my brother's debt because I had a job at the time. And the guy had a respect for me for paying my brother's debt and helping my brother out. And so me and him clicked up and started working together. I would steal stuff and he would give me drugs. Then I would go sell the drugs and stuff. And he let me have a way to get off the streets, you know, as long as I worked for him and helped him out and stuff. And so I started living with him. We would sell drugs together and I would go steal whatever we needed from like Walmart and sell them to people, like drills we stole power tools, we stole whatever, you know, baby monitors, cameras, security systems, and we would sell them on the streets and make money. Then we got this house in Bernalillo. I was renting from my stepdad, and we were buying stolen trailers. We were buying stolen ATVs, stolen guns. We had a big operation going on, you know. And I liked it because it helped me get off the streets, and I was making my own money. I helped my brothers out, you know. I got them off the streets, and we're all together and stuff. We're still doing drugs and everything, but we thought we're doing better, you know. Then I got locked up. We're doing residential burglary. It's a funny story. We needed a fridge for our house, you know. So I know where there's
You needed a what?
A refrigerator.
A refrigerator.
Yeah. So we broke into this abandoned house to go steal one, and the cops rode up on us. And this is the first time second time I went to jail, and I got to put on probation for it. Then I went back home, and a couple days later, the cops raided my house because we had a stolen trailer out front. Then I went back to jail for it, and when I was in jail, um, I would get in fights. So I would run with my crew, Bernatowners, they're called, because I'm from Bernalillo, and so we would pretty much like run the pod. We would beat up people, roll people out if we needed to. We always had drugs, like tattoos. We do whatever. If we had a fight, we would fight, and I thrived on that. I enjoyed it. My uncle Casey was in gangs, and he would tell me stories about it. And now it's my turn to live it. And tell stories about it. And this is all new since I was 13. So I enjoyed it. And I was facing 3 years in prison for all the stuff that I got caught stolen, all the stolen property, and posted the residential burglary. But they gave me 3.5 years on probation instead. And after that 3 years, I messed up. I've been going in and out of jail my whole entire time. And about they sent me to like 3 or 4 programs I've been to for my addiction. I did a bunch of stuff. Then after that, none of the stuff really helped. My stepdad died from cirrhosis of the liver because he drank a lot. We used to drink with each other. We did everything together. And when he died, it took a big toll on me. And my middle brother, he went to rehab and he got clean, moved to Texas, and he wanted to help me out, because I got a DWI and I went to jail again. I was on probation, and they told me to file out my probation, do the rest of my time, and I did about 6.5 months. I crashed my car into a off-duty cop when I got my DWI. So I went to jail for that for 6.5 months, and when I got out, I went to my brother's wedding, and I saw how good he was doing. He was going to church, and he got saved, and he found like Jesus in his life and stuff. So he was doing real good, and so I thought it was all like fake. And I went and did a rehab. So I'm like, help me start over. I'm about 23 now, 24, 23. It's just a couple years ago. And I finally surrendered. I was like, all right, my family wants me to go get clean. I'll go and get clean for them. I'll go do a program for a bit and play the role. So I went down to Texas to the rehab my brother went. I did 11 months, I think, 10 or 11 months, got clean. It was a faith-based rehab, so I told him, I found God, I got saved, now I want to go live my life and tell people about it. And so I went back to New Mexico to help this church, and I ended up getting in trouble, messing up at that church. And so I went back home.
What'd you do? How'd you mess up?
I slept with the pastor's daughter.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so I went back home, back to Albuquerque, and I got back on heroin and meth, started back in square one. Then I was probably back home for 3 months, 4 months, and man, this time I was so miserable.
You're still living on the streets?
No, my mom, she let me come back live with her because she didn't know I was on drugs at this time. I was living with a friend when I first got back home, and I started drinking again. That's how first I gave a little small compromises, and I started drinking. Then one of my coworkers was on heroin, and he gave me some. I told him, I'm not going to shoot it because it turns me into a different person. So I started smoking it again, making that compromise, And so I was a big believer. I would go to church, you know, and I had a faith. I still have faith this time, you know. God helps me through it and stuff. And but this time, you know, like I wanted to kill myself. You know, like I took out my shotgun and wanted to end it. It was just different this time. I was more miserable, you know.
Yeah.
And so my brother told me to just come back to the program and do the program again. But you know, I didn't want to do a program. I was like, no, I'm fine. So my brother, he called the cops on me because I told him I was being suicidal and stuff, you know. And so like I went on the run for a while because I thought the cops were after me because I was driving without a license and I knew I was going to go to jail, you know. The cops stopped me. And so then after that, my brothers and I relationship didn't get that well because he called the cops on me, you know. And
You didn't, what, you were pissed at him?
yeah, huh?
You were pissed at your brother?
Yeah. Because he called the cops on me.
Sounds like he was worried about you.
Yeah, he was real. My whole family was worried. So then I was driving back home. This cop pulled me over for not wearing my seatbelt and speeding, and so I thought I was going to jail. And so he ran. He found out that I didn't have a license and stuff, and I believe. So me personally, you know, I got faith today, so I feel like God was working in my life at this time because He didn't let me go to jail. I went back to the rehab. You know, this cop told me he has all reasons to take me to jail. You know, but he told me he wants me to get my life together and go back down to Texas and go to this rehab I'm going to because I told him I was so close going back to rehab, and so he let me go. He let me go. You know. Then the next day I went to rehab. I I decided that I was done with that lifestyle. You know, I made a commitment for myself. I was being sick of tired. You know, I was losing out on a lot. You know, I was hurting my family again. Most important, I was hurting myself. You know, and I just wanted to stuff out of life. I knew I was getting older by a minute, and my life's miserable. You know, I didn't accomplish nothing out of life, and I'm stepping backwards. You know, going back to the gangs, going back to the heroin and stuff. You know, I wanted a new life, and so I went back to a rehab down in Texas, and I made a commitment. You know, I'll stay clean and whatever it takes, how hard it takes, and I'm gonna make a commitment to myself and God that I'm gonna keep going. You know, and this time it was pretty good. I met my wife in rehab. You know, she went through the program too, and we ended up getting together after the rehab and ended up getting.
What program are you talking about now?
So it's called the Roll Off Homes in Corpus Christi, Texas. It's a faith-based rehab, and so they it was really strict at first when I went there. It was like really strong Baptist belief, you know, and I'm not real big into the Baptist doctrine, you know, but I believe like there's a higher power, you know, God's there and God helped me, you know, and I believe that Christ is the God, my God, you know. Everybody has different opinions, you know, and I believe He helped me through it and stuff, and that's where I built a relationship with Him was at the program, you know, and as I kept growing, we would go to church there. It was a 16-month program. The first 9 months, you can't leave the property. You have to stay there, you know. And they give you devotions. They teach you stuff. And then you go to church, you know, and they tell you how to live a sober life. We work on the property. We take care of the property, you know. Then you go to honor dorm. It's another 6 months, and they give you more grace. You can leave the property and go do stuff as long as you're with a staff member. And so I did that, and I ended up getting on staff at the program, being a leader in the rehab, and I'll start teaching RU, you know, Reformers Anonymous, an addiction program. Started being part of it, and I really enjoyed it. You know, by this time, I was out of the program for about 6 months, living on my own, and I left that church because a bunch of church stuff went down with it, and a bunch of church problems were happening. And me being sober and finally getting my life together, I didn't want to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
my brother's family, me and my wife, we left it and moved to Dallas. And now we're just trying to start our own life out. October, I'll be 3 years clean, trying to live. This June will be a year that me and my wife been married. I got so much rewards on this side than I did in my addiction. I like to tell people, worst day sober is 20,000 times better than my worst day in my addiction. Because I'm not having a bad day and withdrawing it at the same time. At least my day, if it's bad, it only lasts for a couple hours, not freaking couple days, as I'm kicking. And I have more joy now because I know who I used to be. I'm not who I used to be. And I have more, any days more is better today than it was. So that helps me keep my joy.
Yeah.
Because strung out, I'm not homeless, I'm not robbing people. My family trusts me. I got a 4-year-old daughter who loves me. And my addiction, I would have none of that. I'd be in prison right now or I would be dead. My cousin, he just OD'd in August from it. We had to go be a part of his funeral, and I had to read the a paper for his parents because my aunt and my uncle couldn't do it, and so I had to go read the eulogy. That's what's called eulogy for at my cousin's funeral. And he OD'd on heroin. We were all close growing up. Last thing I told him was that I was going to see him at his funeral because he didn't want to get clean. He didn't want the help that we're giving him. And we stopped talking last time. And last time I seen him was when I was at his funeral. We were putting him in the ground. And so now I take days for granted, and I'd like to forgive people as quick as I could. Because you never know when the last day is.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. You never know.
Yeah. And now I still struggle with stuff from my past. Like times, uh, let me see, like times I know it's just me playing with myself, but like times, um, I think about the days within the gangs or days I was locked up, and I was like, man, that was a good time. But then I gotta tell myself, no, it wasn't. It was miserable. I was away from my family. I didn't have no fun. There's times where I still get mad, and I've got to control I got to control myself just from the PTSD from locking up. Being locked up and being in the gangs and from the trauma. But it's helping out better. My wife helps me out a lot of my problems. We talk about it. She was a former addict, so we can relate to each other and help each other.
Yep.
She was a former heroin addict just like me. She shot up and stuff, and so we have a lot in common, so we can help each other. So I got blessed in that part to have her as my wife, because it's hard to be married to someone that doesn't know or been through your addiction, and can't relate to the demons you have.
Yeah.
Uh, you always think like they trying to explain it to someone your addiction. Uh, you always think they're gonna judge you or put you down for it, or they're gonna shame you for it. So it's hard to help tell people about your addiction. And so
Yeah.
this time when I got sober, I was told myself I was gonna open it up more to people, not be ashamed of it, or not be to tell what happened. To tell where I came from and where I'm at now and how I got there. And so like my coworkers now, I work in an auto shop, and I tell them, I used to be a heroin addict, I used to be in gangs, but I tell them, but this is who I am now. I've been sober 3 months. I go to church. I'm a husband. I'm a father, and I was telling people can change. And as long as we love on people and show them that they're worth it instead of judging people, uh, anybody can change. No matter how long you're doing it.
Yeah, it's a great story. Pretty
Yeah.
got it all concise, and I like it. It was very interesting. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this question. Do you have any advice for people listening or watching?
Uh, yeah. If you know anybody is struggling with addiction, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, a loved one, a spouse, don't. Because with my family, my personal, I got an older brother that's dealing with it, and my mom, she's a sweetheart, she's 11, but she doesn't understand an addiction, you know. So she wants to tell my brother all his wrongdoings and point him so he can realize what he's doing wrong, you know.
Yeah,
But we, as us addicts, we know what we're doing wrong. We don't need our family shoved in our face. We know what the demons throw it back at us. You know, everybody like we constantly hold it against ourselves. You know, because what our addiction done. You know, we just you just gotta love on people and show them. You know that they can forgive themselves. You know, it's hard. It's hard, but you gotta forgive the addict for whatever wrong they've done you. You know, it's the challenge. But once my mom forgave me for the stuff I did, it helps me forgive myself. You know, to knowing that someone forgave me for doing harm to them, I can forgive myself for doing it. A lot of times it comes up in my mind. You know, I just got to remind myself that it's forgiving. You know, I'm a new person, and because if we give into the demons, we're just gonna keep going back to our addiction because we're gonna fall into our depression. It's just gonna be a continuous cycle. So I guess the advice I have to the guys is forgive yourself, forgive others, and don't throw people's wrongdoings in their face. You know, because we all make mistakes. We're all human beings. Nobody is perfect. You know, and just try to love on each other because there's a lot of hate going on in this world. You know, there's so much hate. All we can do is make a difference by loving one another. You know, as we love ourselves. You know.
great advice. So I think that's a good place to wrap it up. I want to thank you for coming and telling your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No, it was a great story. I'm glad that you're doing well right now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate having and allowing me to share it with you.
No, is there anything else you want to add?
Um, no, I think no. If anybody, hope a lot of people get help with this podcast. You know, me myself always want to help addicts myself also. So I appreciate this podcast. I appreciate what you're doing with addictions. And a lot of when I first was coming up, a lot of people wanted to hide their addiction. You know, but now it's 21st century. I love how people are coming out with their addictions, and it touches my heart. And I pray every day that one day we don't have to see it, that everybody can that we can be addictions, you know, and that that kids will stop dying from it, and people that families will get healed, you know. I pray that people that addictions won't be such a big thing, you know, and less people are OD per year, you know.
Yep.
But I appreciate it.
All right. I appreciate you for coming on. So for anyone listening and watching, if you like what you've heard and saw, go below and click subscribe and give us a like. Also, check us out on Spotify and iTunes and Google Podcasts. Also, check us out on our Facebook group. If you go there to the events tab, you'll see that every night at 6:30 we do a Zoom meeting, and it gives you all the information as far as the link. And that's all I have for today. So until next time.